Hello everybody. Let us understand what is negative indexing in Python, why it is needed with an example. Okay? In Python, all the sequences, like if you take a string, a list, set, tuple, dictionaries, the sequences are indexed and consist of negative as well as a positive numbers. Okay? If you see, now I'm going to create a string. Okay, this is a string which is holding str is a variable which is having python as a string. Okay, now if I want to print p, that is the very first value, that is the very first character in the string. Okay, if I want to print that p, I will be using str of 0. Okay, so if I visualize this, so just let us see how it is visualizing. Okay, here you can see that str is a variable which is holding python, and while printing it is printing the zeroth index, that is zeroth index element, which is p. Okay, so let us imagine this how it will be stored. Okay, so if you see here, even python, the word which I have given here will be stored like this. Okay, so this is the string. Fine. str is the variable which is holding this python, where these are all elements. P, Y, T, H, O, N are all elements, and these have some index values which starts with 0. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here you can see that these are all positive integers, right? So what is that negative integer? So if you just give -1, it will print the last element in the sequence. If you give -2, the last but before one. Okay, shall we try this? Okay, I'm just going to edit this code and I'm printing -1. Okay, let us visualize this. See, if I give -1, it is printing the last element. Okay, so the numbering for the last index is negative and starts from -1, whereas this O is -2, H is -3, T is -4, Y is -5, and P is -6. Okay, so if you just go forward, okay, it should starts with 0, 1. If you're coming from reverse, it should start with -1, -2, likewise. Okay, hope you understand. Okay, and why these negative indexes are used? The very first usage is to remove any new line spaces from the string and allow the string to accept the last character that is given as yes colon, okay, -1. And the second important usage is to show the index to represent the string in a correct order. Okay, it is in the correct order. That is also important here. Okay, let us see how it is happening with the list. I hope you all know how to create a list. Okay, so let us try that. I'm going to create a list. Okay, where I'm having mm, 5 elements. The element in the zeroth index is my list of 0. Okay, and I'm also printing the element in the last index is minus 1. Okay, let's see what's happening now. You can see here that my list is holding the list of elements. Okay, so my list is holding the list of elements. Here you can see that 26, which is my very first element, is in the zeroth index, and 28 is in the first index. Okay, and 29 in the second index, 28 is in the third index, and 30 is in the fourth index. Okay, so once Python reach this line, so it will allocate this as a index values within index values. If you come to the next line, you can see that the element in the zeroth index, okay, I'm just printing the next line. The element in the zeroth index is 26. Okay, and if I execute the second line, you can see that the element in the last index is 30. Okay, this is what we mean as a negative indexing in Python. Hope you understand the logic. The important interview question is, what is dynamically typed language? Let us understand typing. So, typing refers to type checking in programming language. In a strongly typed language such as Python, if you use like this, okay, that is, this is a string, whereas this is a number. If I enter, it will show an error because it cannot do concatenation with the string and the integer. But this, if I do the same with the JavaScript, it will display the result as 1 2. So these languages don't allow the type correction, that is the implicit conversion of data type. Though in Python, we no need to specify any types of data. For example, here I don't want to specify that this is an integer, but automatically it will understand that this is an integer. But it will check very strictly if I do like this. Okay, because this is a string and this is a number. So type checking can be done on at two stages. So one is static and second one is dynamic. So static means what? The data types are checked before execution. Before executing your command, the data types are checked. Whereas in dynamic, data types are checked during the execution. While you are executing, the data types will be checked. So, as we all know, that Python is an interpreted language. So, what do you mean by interpreted language? Every individual line will be checked before executing. That is, executes each statement line by line, and type checking is done on the fly. That is during the execution. So, Python is doing dynamic checking. So, Python is a dynamically typed language. Here you may have an doubt. So here I have mentioned like it is an interpreted language. Then, what is an another type of language? Which is a compiled language. So, in a compiled language, that is a compiler language, so what it will do is the complete program will be executed at once. Whereas in interpreted language, every individual line of the program will be executed whenever you are trying to execute the code. So, if anybody asks you, Python is a dynamically typed language or not, you can straight away tell that Python is a dynamically typed language because it checks for data types during execution and not before the execution.